This is a video about implementing sounds into inventory asset. Usually tutorials use empty or very basic templates. It's understandable, but in real life a lot of assets are complicated, because a good asset is not only doing something, but should have good compatibility and error-proof logic, which leads to complicated object structure. I decided to make a video how to approach making sound for someone's asset. The challenge is to take someone's project, try to not touch most of it, and make sound work. I took a popular RPG inventory asset from Unreal Engine market. So this is how it looks and sounds out of the box. The only sound here is of a door opening. So there is some sound system included. What I want to do is make the asset react with sound on picking up objects, on using object from inventory in hotbar, on using objects which are made with the asset, but they are not part of inventory, like this door. Most of the function in a project work through the inventory management component, which is attached to the player control blueprint. From what I've learned, if it's a third-person game, it's a good idea to do it like this, to control pawn and all players' action from custom controller blueprint. Actions like open, close, inventory and equipment screens, use items in the game world, use items within inventory and hotbar, etc. All the sections are happening because player controller take input from player and execute functions in inventory management component. First I made function which executes when a player picks up an object, an item. There is a branch with three conditions here: begin sound delay, is picking, and is container open. Sound delay is necessary for not playing coins sounds during initialization. The method is exactly, but I didn't came up with something better. IsPicking is a variable that should separate pickable items from directly usable ones. There wasn't such a variable, so I made it. I set it to true every time when a player uses E key on a pickable item, and false after execution of the function. IsContainerOpen is true when a player opens a container, like port or loot character. Then every item moving to or from inventory should make sound. I made an input variable of a custom enumeration type called item type. I made it to use different sounds on different types of pickable items. This function I placed in addItem function, which is used by many other functions, and gave me an item type variable. Also I placed it in addCoin function, because it works instead of addItem when picking up coins. To make it work, I set begin sound delay to true with delay at begin play event. IsPicking is set in player controller blueprint, which checks the E key event, and if it fires, executes on actor used function. This function is checking if a player interacts with usable actor. I added another check if the actor is world actor class, which is pickable items, and if it's positive, it will set IsPicking to true. IsContainerOpen was already in project, so I didn't need to do anything with it. That's all I wanted to do with picking up items. Next is using items. In the usable actor blueprint, which is parent for most items, in the project there is property of type soundQ and function on was used, which takes the soundQ and plays it. I changed this function to play only if actor is not pickable, like a door for example. Using items within the inventory screen, a hotbar, is a little bit tricky. It requires a change in struct called inventory item and corresponding data table called items. I added a soundQ variable in inventory item and then filled it within items data table. This allowed me to use functions, use consumable items and a keep item to spawn the sound of a used item. A keep item needed a little bit of tweaking to spawn sound even if the container is open, or it would sound like picking up an item. Some changes were needed in drop item function and the usable actor blueprint. The problem was that after the item dropped and was taken back to inventory, the attached sound disappeared. So in usable actor I opened a used sound variable to expose on spawn, and in drop item function take a used sound from inventory item variable. Now we have a system where sound designers can implement sounds depending on game settings to individual items and group of items and usable world items, and actually work with sounds.